Welcome back to the kitchen. Patrick Evans with you. And today we're doing Italian wedding soup. I thought this would be a particularly good recipe. Here in the desert, we're having an unusual day. We had snow that was down as low as about 2,000, maybe 1,500 feet. And in some places, even lower than that. It didn't stick at that level, but it was a cold, windy, a little bit of rain here in the desert, but a lot of snow in our mountains. So I thought, what would be better for that than some nice Italian wedding soup, which requires one of my favorite Italian ingredients, which is our homemade meatballs. And so I had to whip up a batch of those. Hello, Gidra, good to see you. Glad that you could join us. So I made a batch of the meatballs earlier. You can find that recipe on my YouTube channel. I posted it on Facebook the other night. I have a couple of different recipes for meatballs. This one is the family recipe. Hello, Nan. Nice to see you on. Cheers, everyone. It is Wednesday, and tonight my cocktail is actually kind of special. Tonight, I'm having a little Sinatra Select. This was a special edition put out by Jack Daniels in honor of Frank Sinatra. I'm doing that because as soon as I whip up some soup, hey, Oris, how are you? How's the knee? I hope your knee is doing better. Tonight, after I whip up the soup, I'm going over to Frank's Twin Palms estate. Hi, Pam. And that was his first house in Palm Springs. There's an event there for an Alzheimer's Association benefit, Alzheimer's Coachella Valley benefit. So I'm going to go visit them. So since I was going to Frank's house, I thought I better have a little Sinatra Select while I'm whipping up this delicious Italian wedding soup, which is as individual as you like to make it. There are a lot of different ways to do it. Monica, welcome. Mike, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, sir. Mr. Mike in Roanoke, Virginia. He's a bourbon fanatic. He knows all about this stuff. Hello, Bridget. All right, so let's get started. I've heated up some olive oil over here. And you're going to need equal parts celery and onion, which I have diced up right there. So we're going to get that started. But you're also going to need some carrots. Got those right there. Chopped those up earlier today. You're going to need chicken stock. We got plenty of chicken stock. Hi, Lori. And as I mentioned, the aforementioned Mama Iacchetta's meatballs. They're ready to go. Bill, since so good to see you. And I've got my, hey, Paul, welcome. My usual pulverized garlic. And, oh, Monica, do you? Well, so what I do with the garlic is I just take the peeled cloves, cover them with a little plastic, and then I beat them up with my meat mallet. Hey, Bob. Hello, Steve. So that's ready to go. But first, we're going to start. Hi, Sandra. How you doing? We're going to start with this. So let's come on over and get started, and then we can let it simmer for a while. You're also going to need some pasta. I'm going to use ditalini like I use in my pasta fagioli. Hey, Bob Osteen. Good to see you. Didn't you just have an anniversary, Robert? If so, I'm remiss in wishing you a happy anniversary, but happy anniversary to you. Pulverized garlic. Yes, that's exactly what I said, Steve. All right. So I got my olive oil. I've got it nice and hot. And I'm going to saute my celery and onions. I used one fairly sizable onion and about 3 stalks of celery, chopped up, diced up. So I'm going to let that toss around in there in the olive oil, get it nicely coated, and we're going to let that simmer for a little bit. Let it saute in the olive oil until the onions are translucent and soft. The celery will start to soften up a little bit. And then we'll continue on. 28 years, Robert Osteen's anniversary. Well, that deserves a toast. Cheers to 28 years of marital bliss. So, my wife and I are approaching 5 years, as a matter of fact, on the 11th of next month. So that's right, Richard. If you missed this live, you can watch it. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. And like I said, the meatball recipe is there. I made meatballs earlier in the week. Actually, I made them last week and had some leftovers, so I made a meatball hoagie. So the meatball recipe is posted on YouTube. So start with that. We use beef, pork, veal, some breadcrumb, some eggs. It's a pretty traditional recipe. But we make them nice, you know, make the cocktail-sized meatballs. I hope my buddy Randy Florence is watching. He thought I said cocktails and meatballs, which is a good combination, but the nice small meatballs to go into your soup. I made about 1.5 pounds of them. It may be a lot for this. I'm not using my big soup pot here, so I might have to adjust my portions accordingly. Now, the interesting thing, I'm going to put pasta in this. But you can also, my mother never put pasta in her Italian wedding soup, and usually you use the little dot pastas, which are great for this. I had farfallini. Ditalini works really well for this. It's the same pasta that I use in my pasta fagioli. My mother didn't put pasta in her Italian wedding soup. She made more of a vegetable soup and added meatballs to it. And so there were carrots and other vegetables and potatoes in place of the pasta. So you still got a little starchy goodness in there, but just in the form of diced potatoes. So she diced them up fairly small. And that was kind of her version of Italian wedding soup. And you can adjust it to your taste. You're also going to need, I like escarole, but it was hard to find. So, hi Pam. So I'm going to use spinach. You can use baby spinach, which is also very easy to find. So you're going to get lots of vegetables, lots of great vitamins and iron from the spinach. And so it's a very healthy recipe. I'm boiling the water for the pasta. We're sauteing down our onions and celery. Now, while that is in pretty good shape, it could go another minute or two, but I'm going to add in my garlic. So now we've got our garlic. That's about 3 cloves, which I mashed up. It's just easier than chopping. Put it under that plastic, hammer it out, and then you don't end up with your fingers smelling like garlic for the rest of the day. The kitchen will smell like garlic for the rest of the day, though. Colleen, nice to see you. Paula, welcome. Ryan, welcome. Dennis, welcome. They're, of course, they're standing here. They're very excited. You know, interestingly, this morning when I was dicing up the vegetables, the dogs love carrots. That's enough. That's enough. And so I had several carrots, which I was going to chop up and put into the soup. I lost about a full carrot to the dogs. They just had to have that as their treat. And it's good for them. That's a good treat for the dogs. So now I've got my celery, onions, garlic. Like that. Let that soften up. Let the garlic open up. Get that nice aromatic garlic fragrance. Let it release that. The celery's turning a nice bright shade of green, so you know it's cooking up and it will get a little tender. Now, I'm going to point you down here so you guys can see what's going on in the big soup pot. I got about 3 carrots. It was going to be closer to 4. Hello, Sharon Bell, watching from Scottsdale. All right, we'll put our carrots in there. They're ready. All right, guys, you have guilted me into this. I'm actually taking carrots out of the soup to give to you. There. I am far too lenient with those animals. They're rescue dogs, but the truth is they rescued me. And I think that's the way most rescue dogs are. All right, so now we've got our celery, onion, a little garlic, and our carrots in here. And that is our vegetables. Those are our vegetables for the soup. We're going to stir that around. Let everything heat up nicely. I'm going to let those carrots soften up just a little bit, and then I'm going to add in our chicken stock. You know, the meatballs are really key to this, because you can take in or place out anything you want. Hi, Lori. I'm Mike. I'm the alpha dog. They think I'm part of the pack. Hello, Robert Chapman, my buddy from Charlottesville. So you can do a lot of different versions of Italian wedding soup, but the one thing that you cannot leave out of the equation are the meatballs. They're vital to what we're doing here. So, all right, now that everything is heating up, give that a good stir. Add As I said, the meatball recipes is there on the YouTube channel. It's called Patrick Evans in the Kitchen. You guys can check that out. Most all of my recipes end up there at some point. I'm usually pretty good about posting them. So I'm going to add in my chicken stock. If you're using cans, let's see, this is 32 ounces, so it'd be I would do 5 of those 15-ounce cans. So we got that in there. That's 1. That's 2. Hello, Linda. So there we go. So the nice thing is, so I've got to go out tonight after I get the soup started to the Sinatra estate for this event, and it's going to simmer while I'm there on low, and it'll be done when I get back, and I can have a bowl before I go to bed, which I'm excited about. All right. So there we go. We got a nice full pot of soup. Now we're going to bring that up to a simmer. So you can kind of increase your heat. Because the one thing you want to do is make sure that your vegetables get nice and softened up and tender. So you got to simmer it that long. So I'm going to bring it up to a simmer first. I always like to go through other recipes when I'm doing this. Pam is watching. One of the things that I saw somebody do, which I kind of liked, after you got your celery, onions, and garlic, someone suggested deglazing that with a little white wine. So if you're so inclined, I think that would add a nice flavor to your soup, to your vegetables. So again, the most time-consuming part of Italian wedding soup is making the meatballs. But one thing that I do, and I only made about 1.5 pounds of meatballs this time around, and I bake them off. So I coat a pan with olive oil. I make the meatball mix, roll them out into cocktail-sized meatballs, put them on the baking sheet, throw them in the oven, and they're small enough. They were done in 11 or 12 minutes. So that's probably the most time-consuming part. So I did that earlier today. I also chopped up my vegetables earlier today so we could assemble the soup tonight so that you guys can try it out. Maybe you want to try it out this weekend. But as I said, today here in the desert, we had an extremely soup-worthy day. Hello, Art Vasquez, Art of Persimmon Bistro, which is located in the lower level of the Palm Springs Art Museum. And I encourage you, if you love fine quality craft food, craft beers, great curated wines, go see Art. He also happens to be a neighbor of mine. Art threatens to knock on the door during these segments. I'm surprised he hasn't. But go, if you are a watcher here in the Valley, I really recommend Persimmon Bistro. It is a great little place for lunch. He does a great job over there. And serves Fulvio's Italian sausage on his pizzas. Hello, Lorraine. Nice to see you. All right, so we're just going to bring this up. I'm going to get this up to a nice rolling simmer. I'm going to boil off a little. Well, I'm going to say hold off on the pasta, and I'll tell you why. If you're making this at home, get your soup and get it to the point where the vegetables are softened, and we haven't even put the meatballs in yet. So we're just bringing this up to temperature right now. Take your pasta, boil it to the point where it's very al dente, not quite done. Then add it into your soup just before you serve it. And that way your pasta doesn't soak up too much of your soup and it doesn't get real soggy. So we can worry about the pasta when we're actually ready to serve the soup. But you'll want to put a nice small pasta. The ditalini works really well for this. There are other pastas that work really well. You can use orzo. It's little rice-shaped pastas. That's also great. Art, you should put Italian wedding soup on your menu. He may have it. I haven't been in a little while. He has a fantastic vegetarian minestrone that is just fantastic, really wonderful. All right, so we're bringing this up to temperature. And, oh my, it was 75. You were way warmer. I think Palm Springs finished at about 57 or 58. Hi, Mar. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a great week thus far. So we're just whipping up a little Italian wedding soup and sipping on some Sinatra Select, which is really nice and smooth. That's good stuff. So let me bring you over and show you what we got going on. As you would expect, it looks like pretty much any other soup you're going to be making. The difference is, as I said, I didn't chop those up very well. That's all right. When they heat up, they'll separate apart. So you can see the celery, the onions, the carrots. There's a little garlic in there. Now, I am going to throw a little kosher salt. Just a little bit. Like that. And the other thing I'd like to do, put a little Italian seasoning in there, because it is, after all, Italian wedding soup. So we've got a little Italian seasoning. Oh, very nice. Stir that in. Now it's beginning to smell like soup. Ah, I can't wait to have some of this a little bit later on. It is a labor of love, especially when you make the meatballs from scratch, which is really the only way to do it. A couple of shakes, twists, if you will, of fresh cracked pepper. Like that. All right, now we're going to stir in all of our seasonings. You know, one of the things that, ever since I've been doing these recipes here on Facebook, and people have asked, when I sit in person, they say, you never actually do like a little taster. Hi, Marnie, nice to see you. So I'm actually going to check that for the level of saltiness to make sure we got it right here. Yeah, that is, you don't need a lot of salt because I did not use the low sodium chicken stock. So if you are using full sodium chicken stock, it can be enough salt. So you want to check that. I didn't put too much of that salt in, so we're right where we need to be. And remember, we're going to get a lot of flavor out of those meatballs. My meatballs, beef, pork, veal, some Parmesan cheese, some breadcrumbs, a little garlic, a little onion, a very traditional Italian meatball. So that is going to provide you some more excellent flavor. Hello, Kathy. So now that this is coming up to temperature, and I want to get it to a slow simmer, we're going to add in our meatballs. I'm probably not going to get the whole 1.5 pounds in there, but there they are, and they look gorgeous. All right. Let's come back down here so you can just put them in. See, the size, this is the size I like. Just about like that, the kind that you eat at a party with a toothpick. I think we might be able to get all of these in there. Some of them I actually saw, you can tell I was in a hurry. That one's more almost the size of a golf ball. I'm gonna hold that out to the end. It's a big meatball. That's a big meatball. All right, we're gonna do that. Get our meatballs in there. These turned out really well. I baked them, so they're a little done on the bottom, but otherwise they think they turned out perfectly. I baked them off at 400 degrees, and I should have probably done it at maybe 375. So, hello, Joel Baker. Nice to see you. Hey, Mary Vermillion Franz. Another one of my high school growing up Charlottesville buddies. All right, we're going to get all these meatballs in here. I'm going to save the, Scotty, nice to see you. I'm going to save the giant meatball because the dogs deserve a treat. They're going to get that one. So that's what we're going to do. All right, now we've got our meatballs in there. Hey, this is beginning to look like Italian wedding soup. Oh, that's nice. Look at that with those meatballs bubbling around. You know, when I was a kid, when my mother would make, and we just called it meatball soup. But my sister and I would argue over the number of meatballs we each got. So make sure you have, no matter how many people you're serving, make sure they are equally divisible because you don't want those kinds of arguments breaking out. It was always a lot of trouble. I had that trouble with these two. So we're going to save one meatball for the boys. All right, so now we've got our meatballs. We've got carrots, onion, celery, garlic, a little Italian seasoning. some salt and pepper. And this just needs to simmer. But the one thing I am going to do, nice thing about spinach is it cooks down so quickly. So, and normally I do this just before I serve it, but I'm going to let it cook into the soup. We're going to add in some spinach here. And again, I would prefer, quite honestly, some escarole greens, which is a little more Italian. But we're going to throw these in there. I'm not going to do the whole, although it'll cook down so much you could. There we go. Now we're going to stir those greens in. Oh, there we go. Now we've really got something going here. And all this needs to do is low simmer for an hour or so, maybe a little longer. You just want to make sure the vegetables are nice and softened up. And don't worry about the meatballs. They won't fall apart in there. They're just going to continue to kind of release a little bit of that great flavor. Hello, Tammy. So we've got our spinach, celery, onions, carrots, meatballs, garlic, Italian seasoning, chicken stock, salt, and pepper. So again, the hard work is making the meatballs. Make your meatballs from scratch. Make them a day ahead if you like. Toss them in the refrigerator, and then you can make your soup accordingly. There we go. Kids, a brimming pot. I'll bring you over and take a look at that. A brimming pot with some of those delicious meatballs hiding in there. There they are. So you can spoon around and find them. Just like I said, make sure you have enough to serve everybody equally. And this is just going to simmer beautifully for a couple of hours until that is ready to devour. It's great. And once you make it, it'll hold for a little while so you can refrigerate it and serve it when anybody's ready. Can't freeze it, unfortunately. You can freeze the meatballs, though. If you make those in advance, you can freeze those. They hold up beautifully. So, and then the last thing you do before you serve that, throw in some fresh, lightly boiled pasta, and voila, you got a bowl of hearty goodness that'll keep everybody warm. It's full of vegetables. It is not only delicious, but it's healthy for you. And as you can see, once you get everything set up, once you've made the meatballs, chop your vegetables, not a whole lot to it. Just throw it together and let it simmer. And I'll post a picture of it when it's done with the pasta in it so you can see what it looks like all finished. And you can find this recipe on our YouTube channel, so check it out there as well. Thank you guys for joining me. I will always, whenever I'm done with these, I post the full recipe along with the video here on Facebook, and then I move that on over to the YouTube channel. So you can always find the recipes. And again, these are not hard and fast rules. Hello, Tony Pomponio. I am serious, Tony. I invite you anytime on a Wednesday evening. Your arrabbiata sauce looks fantastic. Why don't you and Fran come over to the house and we'll whip up something together and it'll be a lot of fun. Potato soup sounds good. Tammy, it's okay. You can go back and watch the whole thing. It'll live right here on Facebook too. You can see here. So thank you guys. Check out the recipes. There are plenty of others on the YouTube channel and on here on Facebook. We always have a lot of fun in the kitchen, and we always try to make good stuff that you can feed your family and feel good about. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your week. It's Modernism Week here in Palm Springs. There are plenty of great events still yet to come. So there's lots to do. Even though it's chilly outside, we're going to have to bundle up. Have a great night. Thank you guys for joining me. Everybody be safe, and I'll see you here next week in the kitchen with another of my favorite Italian recipes. Buonanotte.